I think it's the best place in the world. I love it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. My 4-year-old asked me like a couple weeks ago, he's like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a lawyer. What is a lawyer? I said, we help people solve their problems. I think that's what we should do. We do, or it's what we should do as lawyers. Um, it's just more rewarding to do things that way, I think. I mean, obviously we have the opportunity as lawyers and we have the structure that we work within to like fight about things a lot, and then maybe somebody wins and somebody loses. I think that when you get to the end of a dispute, whether you're like going through arbitration or you're litigating or whatever, and it's rare that you really get to the end of that process, right? I mean, usually along the way, you compromise and you figure out a way. I mean, 9 times out of 10. But even when you get to the end of the process and there's a decision that says like you're right and you're wrong, it's not very satisfying. I mean, really, I mean, are you at the end of that, you're probably still having to clean stuff up. Even if you win, it's like, okay, we won. Now, how do we make this victory work for us in reality? So, to me, it's a lot more efficient. I don't like to waste time. So, it's more efficient and it's just more satisfying to sit down at the very beginning, even when you just see like, oh, there's something brewing here, something, this is going to be an issue. Like, my typical approach is let's get everyone in a room, because let's hash it out, you know, because usually if you can get to the point of what's the real issue, what's the goal, what do you need, what do people need, then you can get there. And then everyone's going to win a little bit more than if you just, you know, if you just hang on to something and try to win because you want to say you won. I just don't think it's efficient. I remember when I did my interview, they did a panel interview. The first interview was a panel with the whole city commission. And then the second round of interviews was individual meetings with all of the commissioners. So he got to have like a private meeting with each commissioner individually. And Chris Bisdock was the mayor for just when they hired me, he was. And then I think I had one meeting with him as mayor when I got here. And I remember he sat down in the one-on-one and he said, this city is like a fishbowl. And then he goes, no, this city is like a microscope on a fishbowl. How are you going to deal with that? And then he just looked at me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I think, this is what I told him, and I think my answer is still the same. Do your homework and have a thick skin. Because, you know, there's not always a black and white answer to everything. But you do your best, you do the work, you do the research, you do the homework, you're honest, you know, and then some of it you just gotta let it roll off. Because at the end of the day, a lot, you know, I get criticism, that's fine. But it's really not me, it's just whoever's sitting in this chair. It's sort of hard to describe the role. Um, you know, it's advising the city commission, helping them make sure they have all of the information that they need to make decisions that they're going to make, and um, help to let them know what their parameters are. Working with the department heads and the city manager to advise them and, you know, make sure that they can do their jobs and carrying out the policy decisions that the city commission makes. You know, looking at ordinances and statutes as they change, and, you know, how to change those, you know, regulations that the city does to meet the needs of the community. Working on all the contracts. It's really, I feel like I do every kind of law except family law and wills. I don't really have any. I've had a couple of things come across my desk with wills, like an employee dies, what do we do, kind of a thing. But yeah, employment law, contracts, litigation. So I sort of have to take what I feel like me and the city manager are sort of like the nexus between the city commission and the staff. So we have to listen and hear what the city commission's what their goals are, and they're sort of trying to filter from the larger community where we go in here, and then, trying to help guide that to make sure it's within where they're allowed to go, and then implementing that to help make it happen. So that's what's really cool about it is, you hear from the community, this is what we want, and you sort of synthesize, okay, this is like a project or, something like the Civic Square, how do we make it happen? And that's anything from, purchasing the property to listening to the community and putting out RFP for services to try and figure out what we're going to design for that, and then all the way through implementation of how are we going to make sure that it happens the way that people envisioned it and they are asking for it to happen. And then in the future, how do we operate the facility to make sure people are safe and, maintain it and all of those things. So it's very widely varied. And that's what's cool about what I get to do is I kind of get to touch every little piece of the process in a way and then help the community come up with the end result that they're looking for. Well, a lot of listening, first of all, meetings and listening to, what people's goals are and how they want to get there. I think by and large, the commissioners and the community are very passionate about what they're here to do. And I mean, I always say I will take that passion over apathy any day. And you go to some communities and there's no one in the audience. That's why people want to be here, is because people care about what goes on here, and that's what makes it awesome. The thing is, when you look at sort of the issues that go on and you look at it broadly, we're totally not alone. It's the housing issues, the employment, how do you find the right jobs for people so they can come back here and live after they go away to school. I mean, it's very common all over the country. So yeah, there's a reason why people want to come here and why Traverse City is Traverse City. It's because of the people that are here. My job is the same as any attorney's job, is like do the homework and give your opinion. And it's not to give an opinion that makes people feel good or maybe what they want to hear. It's to like do the work and then give the opinion. And so really, when you think about that, the opinion shouldn't change whether someone likes it or not, or whether the newspaper likes it or not, or whether even the public likes it or not. The responsibility is to the client, which is the city, the corporation, and you just do the work, and then, that's it. Municipal attorneys, listserv and the different publications, and, each sort of discipline within the city at least has their own association. City managers do, the city attorneys do, the city clerks do, they all do. So there is a great opportunity to exchange ideas. I don't know if it happens as much as it maybe should. Because the city doesn't, I mean, the issues maybe are a little bit different for every community, but the larger issues are really common. Transportation, education, jobs, housing. It's never the first time that an issue has cropped up. And they don't all have solutions, but people are maybe approaching them from different angles. So, yeah, I think collaboration is just like with everything else, that's how nobody's going to sit in their office all isolated by themselves and come up with a solution to anything. You got to talk to people and really, get at the root of the problem, and other people have other ideas. I mean, I think that a really big component for me of GTLA is like the community of lawyers, because I'm not in a firm. And so I'm sort of a little bit to some extent in my bubble, and I come into contact with other lawyers, every day, but not the gamut of everybody that's practicing in town. And for me, it's really valuable to have that community and to meet the people that are practicing things that I don't, the family law practitioners and people that are doing, criminal law and different things that I'm not really doing every day. And two, I think that it maybe sounds corny, but just the civility in meeting your peers and chatting with them and knowing them before you have to argue against them or something like that. There's a lot of value to that, I think. Um, and we're a small enough town still and community. There's a lot of lawyers in town, a lot. But it's small enough still where you sort of, not everybody knows everyone, but you've heard everyone's name. You maybe have seen their face. So you have a feel for everyone in town, and that's a good thing. I mean, when you come from somewhere like Detroit where it's sort of anonymous at sometimes because there's so many people, you're never going to maybe see that person again. So why go the extra mile to just chat with them a little bit? Um, I think that's a nice thing about practicing in Traverse City. There's an opportunity for community.